What's the point of finding your life's purpose? There's conflict and arguments, isn't there? So you don't need to, or whatever.
Yeah. If we are looking for something, so if we are looking for something that we say, that's my purpose, I think it's really important that we put ourselves out there in an open way. And then when we do stuff, we can decide this feels like my kind of thing or not. But I think we've got to be a bit experimental on the road to finding what we feel is our purpose, whether it's through work or career stuff or life generally. I think that finding needs to be, you've got to be proactive and go out there and do stuff. And then when you're in situations, like, ask yourself whether this resonates and feels good.
Sure. I suppose it's about not being too precious about it as well, isn't it? So you don't want to think, okay, well, this is it, this is my purpose, and that's it for the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years or whatever. Things can change, can't they?
Yeah. What do you think purpose is?
I think it's, for me personally at the moment, I think it's about being of service, primarily doing something outside of yourself. I think it's for me there's a lot of fundamental things that we can do for ourselves, but then once you get to that kind of level, to feel complete or feel that inner happiness, then it's about being of service to other people as well and helping other people. I think because we are, like you said, that connectivity and that kind of union, that community, when you can bring your skills or your learnings or whatever your passions and share that with other like-minded people, you never know who you're going to affect. And I think that's a lovely feeling to have. And there's no real, it's of massive value, but you can't, what's the word? You can't really, it's not tangible. It's not tangible. There's no sort of, financial reward as such, but the reward is a lot greater. That makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I guess what I'm feeling is on the point of helping other people. So that I think from a, say like late teenage years kind of age, I was introduced to the idea of wanting to help people, and it feels good to make a difference. But I think some people possibly go too far and make all of their life about helping others, and then we forget ourselves in that. So I think in that kind of same thinking, we need to be aware of how we feel about ourselves and doing things for ourselves, and then also serving other people from that place. Because if we serve and help other people and expect that to make us feel good, I think eventually then we run out of steam. That justifies our feeling of well-being and happiness or fulfillment. But that said, I think when we do serve and give and help people, that elevates our level of fulfillment to a whole new level.
Definitely. You could also argue that by doing it that way, because of my own personal experience, when I first started getting into sort of personal development, helping other people, and even the type of relationships I had, I would attract those type of people that needed my help. And then the realization that I had is that I'd always do that because I would feel good about it. It's something in me that I felt good about doing, So, but equally, it's kind of it's soulless, and it's not actually, it's selfish in a way. I could go as far to say is you're doing it to elevate yourself rather than being in a solid space, solid foundations within yourself. Then you can give, and you're not drained, you're not anything else. You can just give as and when, and you're quite happy saying, having boundaries or having limitations, and you're quite happy to serve, but you're not doing it from a space to fill a void within yourself.
No, exactly. Yeah, and I guess there's even the extension of that working as we do in the field of coaching, personal development, education sometimes, that because we want to be good at these things we talk about, there's an extra level of pressure to always be showing up in that kind of loving, filled content kind of space, and then interesting challenge of how you manage it in between. Because we all probably get into this work because we want to help people, we care, and we also need to acknowledge the times when we also need to focus on ourselves and our own things as well, so then we can in the long term be more generous and give more and make a bigger difference, rather than thinking about the short term and small acts of generosity rather than having a bigger picture of,
Yeah, of course, yeah.
yeah.
Interesting. So, I mean, to anybody like watching this, and what would you say? What would you say would be the first step for someone that sort of wants to do a bit more, wants to find their purpose, or be of service, or whatever?
So the title of my book that I'm now confident with is called Feeling Lost and Finding Your Way, and I decided to call it that because that's kind of how I felt at the beginning of feeling lost and disconnected. And I think the first thing we need to do is to admit that we don't feel content with where we are. And I think that when you own that and acknowledge that and accept it instead of fighting it, that's kind of the first step. Because then you can kind of surrender a little bit and stop fighting and looking with that kind of energy. So I guess that's the first step, to sort of acknowledge, and that can be quite liberating, I guess, once you free yourself from thinking that what you have in the current situation is right. And then the step after that, I think, is to explore and do stuff, meet people, and I guess it depends on what you're looking for, whether it is career, work things, or what if you gave it a context, what do you mean?
Well, I suppose for me, what would be the first step, and how would you then, I suppose, to add another bit onto that, is how do you weave that in? How do you incorporate that into kind of your everyday life as well? Because we're all very busy, we all do certain things, and let's face it, we're not just all of a sudden just going to switch and then go and, well, most people won't go off to an ashram or go to, I don't know, somewhere in Kenya and just work with the kids or whatever, unless that's their thing. But it doesn't need to be as drastic, does it? But how do you kind of make those kind of subtle things that gradually can to lead to other things, or not, obviously?
I guess it's about perspective, possibly, and I think that when we believe things matter, and we think about the people that we're working with in any situation, we can always find a reason for things to be good. So, as in, like right now in this conversation, I could be thinking about myself and what I'm saying, but I could equally be thinking about the benefit this might have to you, or the benefit this might have to people that might watch this that I don't even know why they're going to be watching it. So there's several different ways you can look at any situation. I think if you ask yourself the right question in the moment to do with what could the benefit be to somebody else, then I think that allows you to tap into a better energy and a more grateful space, I guess.
Sure. It's funny because when you do ask that question of yourself, you get almost like a download, don't you? It just comes out. There's no like you're saying, or when you focus on yourself, you're fearful of how you're coming across or what you're presenting or whatever it is. But then if you're thinking about I want this to be of value to somebody.
Yeah.
How do I do that the best way? And you don't really need to think. It just kind of it just comes in and comes out and comes out every single time. But I think it's like you say, in fact that's probably a good starting point to remember that.
To remember what exactly?
Remember how do you to remember that that's where to start from.
Yeah, to start from that place.
Outside of yourself. Maybe.
It's huge, isn't it?
It's massive.
I think you've also got to be honest about what you're really looking for, and not to look for the thing that you think might fulfill you, but be honest about the thing that is actually missing in your life. Because we can, if we think that we're going to get fulfillment through work, we can change jobs 4, 5, 6 times, keep looking for a new job, when actually a new job is not what we're looking for. What we're looking for is maybe the love and confidence in ourselves to be happy with who we are, or maybe we're looking for the confidence to meet someone and start a relationship, or whether we're looking for the reason to get fit and healthy because we've actually decided that we will look after ourselves in a different way, or whatever it might be. But it's important that we're honest with, in a complete sense, what it is we're looking for, I guess. Because if you can chase the wrong thing for a long time expecting to be fulfilled, and then eventually life catches up with us, as it did for me maybe 6 years ago now, when I first fell into depression and stuff, and that was like my wake-up call of being a workaholic and thinking my career success will fulfill me.
Yeah.
Kind of exposed me to like, now you haven't got this, what else have you got to give you a sense of completion?
Sure.
Because yeah.
So when did you have that realization?
After a panic attack, after lots of anxiety, and after depression, and then after I kind of came out of the hardest part of it, and thought, did I then? I think I knew then that actually like work stuff isn't everything, but I think for a while I still did search for something, because I thought that the more successful I am, then that means I might be perceived in a better light, and therefore I'll be more confident to be who I am, because that was what I was struggling with. It was my self-esteem that was
Sure.
low, and that took some time to admit to myself that actually that's what I was looking for, and there's no answer. Again, like, I'm still young, my experience of this stuff is still changing every day, but we've got to start from where we are and acknowledging who we are as individuals, and be like appreciative of that in the same time as well. Like, it's easy to look for things that are wrong or missing in our lives, and I think when we get into that kind of space, we then forget the gift of who we are, and even if we've been through challenges and had hard times, we're still beautiful, wonderful individuals, and that took me a long time to be okay with as well. And I think starting from a place of appreciation is equally as important. So, but yes, I guess my answer is that we need to be in touch with who we are in a positive sense, and be honest about what we're really looking for, and those need to be together, because if we focus all on the negative, then we get sucked into I'm not good enough, I'm not enough, I need something else to fulfill me. Whereas on the other side, if we just pretend that everything is okay and we keep looking for something in the same stuff, then we never get to the place of contentment that we might be looking for.
Yeah. How did you know that you were on the right track? From you think, okay, well, the external stuff's not working for me, I need to look inwards. I'm starting to make inroads now, and I'm thinking, okay, this definitely feels like the right thing that I'm doing, working from the inside out. How did you know that you're actually on the right path?
I think it was when I started reading things that like resonated, and I was like, they were all about my feelings. So when you read things that challenge your sense of fulfillment, like you feel it within you, like within your heart or your stomach or whatever, and when you like connect to that, you're like, this has got nothing to do with like my outside world, and it's got nothing to do with my house or my city or my job. Like, everything these questions are asking me is making me feel something within, and then I guess I just connected that with, so maybe within is where I need to start, and when the within stuff is as it needs to be, then that's all that matters, perhaps. Not even that then with, like, there's loads of people talk about get the stuff within sorted and then the without things will fall into place, and that is true, I think, in some respects, but then equally we've still got to come back to feeling good within, because that's what it's all about, really.
Brilliant.